Welcome to Healing Generations, a podcast creating a dialogue uplifting the importance of healing, strengthening, and supporting our communities, and that addresses the disparities and inequities in communities of color. Healing Generations is brought to you by the Healing Generations Institute, a collaborative initiative of the National Compadres Network and the Brotherhood of Elders. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on our new releases.
Well, welcome. Welcome to the Healing Generations podcast. And this is our monthly podcast hosted by the National Comadres Network. And we're so glad to be able to have this conversation and have our listeners from all over the world be able to participate in that way. And so we thank you for joining us this morning, and we thank you for taking the time out. And like we like to say, it's a time for you. It's a time of investing into your life, into your little world. Whatever's happening for you, this is your time to be able to take in and nurture yourself as you continue on in this journey. My name is Deborah Luis Camarillo. I am the proud daughter of Esteban Leos Camarillo and Anita Figueroa. And it has been my pleasure to co-host with Maestra Susie Armijo this Healing Generation podcast. And I know that if you're a regular listener, you're going to notice that she's not with us on this podcast. And I just wanted to share with our listeners, Maestra is in this time preparing for surgery. So she is doing what she needs to do to take care of herself. And, you know, we always call her the heart of what we do. And actually, she's going to be having a procedure on her heart. So we're excited for her to correct those things so that, you know, she has many more years to share her heart with us. And so if you're out there, and I know many have reached out to us and just love the love that she pours out, I want to ask you to join us. Join us in offering good vibrations, offering prayers, sending your love as she will be going and having this procedure done. And of course, the next time she'll be back with us. So I just want to acknowledge that because I do miss her this morning, joining me as we have done this together for the past several years. And so it's a little bit different for me. But in that same time, or at that same time, or gosh, I'm not even sure how to say that, but that exchange, we have the pleasure of having Maestro Jerry Tello. And for me, that's an honor, right? And that is her other half. I'm not going to say which one's the better half, but it's her other half, right? And we're so grateful to have him. He's stepping in. And it's a beautiful thing because I've had the blessing to have a wonderful relationship and travel with both of them. And to me, I consider him my maestro and also a friend and a brother. And so I'm very excited to have him join us. And so I want to just turn it over for a greeting and invite Maestro Jerry into our podcast today.
Thank you, Maestra, for that beautiful introduction and for welcoming me into to this space, you know. And as I sit here, I do, you know, hold very strongly, you know, Maestra Susie with us and with me, and, you know, at the end, La Quech, you know, is there. And there's no way that me sitting here could represent her in all of her teachings and all of her blessings and everything. But, you know, we stand together and we walk together. And so, so I will do my best to reflect, you know, those teachings that way. You know, she is in the process of what we're terming a healing procedure, you know, and it is that she has to go through a procedure. And the doctor, when we found this out, said that, well, part of the reason it's genetic, right? And what I've come to recognize, you know, that falls really in line with what we talk about here is genetic has to do with the generational stuff that we've never been able to heal. And so, you know, many times we carry things that our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our elders, our relatives never got a chance to heal, and we carry it in our bodies, and then it shows up, you know. So what I see her doing is really healing for generations, healing for generations that way.
Beautiful.
So as we talk today, as you know, I want to keep her in mind, and thank you for inviting me today. Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you, Maestro. I want to add another reflection. Yes, this is a podcast that is directed towards women and girls, but I want to be clear because sometimes there's a misconception out there that we do not like men or we don't want men involved or we don't, and I just want to share that is not the teaching. The teaching is that the men and the women, both of those energies, right? That feminine energy and that masculine energy, we're to complement each other. We're supposed to support each other. And I can truly say that Maestro, you have been such a support, such a compliment to women's work. And having you here, and just already with the words that you started out with, it testifies to that. It demonstrates that desire that you have within your heart, truly to see healing just flow out for our community, no matter what the energy that's represented. And it could be masculine, feminine, it could be the in-between of the transgender. You have always had that love, that vision, that support to see healing flow in those areas. And before we even get started, can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah. Well, as you were talking about that, I thought, well, where did that come from? And I mean, I want to acknowledge my ancestors and Creator and all those teachers that have brought me in. But my abuelitas, my mom, this was the feminine, and I saw and felt my abuelita's prayers, her bendición every day. I felt my mother's strength in raising us. And at the same time, I grew up in a home in which people would bring children or come there seeking healing. And I was a little kid, wanted to go play, and my mom said, "No, vente pa acá, ayúdame, and help me with this. Bring me the water. Go give me some hierbas." And I don't want to go play. No, okay. I didn't understand there was an indoctrination already. But I also grew up with very strong women. I mean, there's a stereotype that Latina women are humble and submissive. And I'm still saying, well, where are they at? Because I don't, because the mujeres that I grew up with are very strong. They're very faithful. They're very grounding. And when we were struggling, we went to the women. We went to the mujeres. We went to our moms, to our grandmas, So I learned that strength is in the feminine, in the heart, in the love, in the faith, in the intuitive, in the unknown sometimes, And that's, to be honest with you, that's what we're relying on right now is to get through this process. But that, that's been my experience and trying to balance that out, So that's kind of where that comes from. And, at the same time, having to cleanse from what this society says the masculine is too, and trying to erase the harmful, misogynistic, all of those things so that I can truly try and be in balance the best I can. And having mujeres like you and like Maestra Susie and my daughter Renee and Paloma and Tanaya, all these women that are around me that guide me and sometimes scold me, but definitely love me and teach me, have really, I've been the student of that. So.
Yeah, as you were saying that, I know many times we've seen on TV, right? You see these big athletes, these big football players, whatever, and the camera comes on and they go, "Hi, Mom," right? It's
yeah.
And somehow we go, and I think that's the difficult part, right? That when those relationships might have trauma there, they're static in between, and the healing doesn't come, then that is a very difficult situation in those areas. Yeah. I also want to share that we have such a great time when we're together. And so now in this time of our life, right, we have comments going, where's all the happy elders? And not all the angry elders. Right? And we have the blessing to just hang out and have a good time and go cruising and jam some oldies or for me, eat the hot fudge sundaes,
Yeah.
And how's that? What were your thoughts coming into this time of your life? How did you see that to be?
I didn't know what this stage of my life would be. But definitely remembering my grandma, the elders in my life, I knew that there had to be a shift because, there was a lot more, remembering now, as I'm the age of my grandparents, remembering how faithful they were, how they would, even in tragedy, even in difficulty, they would say, pues no hay mal que buen fin no venga, that, there's always something good. And I'm saying, well, how, and you get challenged that way. But con fe, todo va a salir bien. So with faith, everything. And I'm saying, what are you talking about, Because, growing up in Compton and Watts, we went through some tough times. But now realizing that those words are very profound. And especially as we're going through this process right now with Maestra Susie, it's about, feeding the faith and not feeding the fear. And it's also about recognizing that, there's teachings and lessons that we're going through here. But I think that the other part is that we need each other. What a beautiful manifestation of that Inkloke Nawake interconnected sacredness have we been seeing, because so many people are sending prayers, they're sending texts, they're sending messages, they're sending emojis, they're sending, beautiful things this way. And Maestra feels the energy, And I think that's the essence of health and healing. Is when the energy is flowing, when the blessings are flowing, when even in difficulty and in tragedy, that there is a portal that can be opened up, that when you can't, when you have difficulty praying, when you forget to pray, when you forget to have faith, that other people's prayers and energy can carry you. And, trauma is obviously the block of that, the inability to have faith, to believe, to see beyond the tragedy. Yeah. And I know throughout the podcast that you've had throughout the year, you had a number of very strong mujeres that have talked to those issues, that have talked to the aspect of dealing with difficulty, but getting through in spite of, and dealing with death and dealing with difficulty, And so I've learned a lot from the mujeres that have spoken. I wonder if you can speak to some of those teachings as well, Maestra.
Yes. And before we go there, see, I know that already if you're listening, you have heard something that has just come into alignment into your spirit, has really touched you, and already began that process. And that's the beautiful thing about when we come together, even in this way, that the Spirit has an amazing way to reach you no matter where you're at, just by these healing words that you have heard already. And as you continue to listen, I know that there's going to be other words that are going to provoke your mind and challenge you and also soothe you, because that is the intention of this podcast, right? Healing ourselves and healing those generations. And so, Maestro, as you have mentioned, we have had many podcasts already, and each one comes with a different story, right? And it's not that we don't all have the stories, but sometimes when we come together, just certain things come out, right? And I think it's a reflection, because when you hear the message, we can identify those themes all around the world, right? It's global. And I was thinking about Gabriela. Gabriela came on and was sharing that as she was going through life, all of a sudden she was diagnosed with this condition. That was a condition that was supposed to last her whole lifetime. It affected the immune system. And she began to talk about, even though this mentality, the medical system of the Western doctors, right? They want to diagnose you and they want to give you this prescription of either you're going to heal or you're not going to heal. And kind of you don't have an opportunity to decide. They kind of prescribe it. Okay, this has no cure. And how in her life, in her process, through danza, through her discovery of how different natural medicines attend to the body, how she was really able to put this condition and arrest it. And actually today live a life that's kind of unscathed, with this prescription that was supposed to be so terminal and affecting her detrimentally for the rest of her life. And, and that's kind of something that we see and we hear all around the world, right? These, there's like this prescription of how we should be, or, this is what's going to happen to you. And I don't know what kind of thoughts come up when you hear something like that.
Well, I know that as we were growing up, we were cautioned not to talk about people in a negative way, not to label them, And I didn't understand when my parents and my grandparents were telling me, but it's when people, label you or put a label on you, it's like they're putting a spell on you, right? Like you have this and you can't get rid of it. No puedes quitarlo, and unfortunately in Western society, we see them as the authorities. We see Western society doctors, and let me just say, I want to acknowledge Western society because there's some wonderful medicine that comes from surgeries, from emergencies, wonderful skills that save people's lives. But our indigenous people also have beautiful medicine, right? Beautiful medicine. And even though we may be afflicted with a physical disease, we have our spirit, we have our spirituality, we have our heart, our emotions, that really are powerful too in healing. So to me, when I hear certain things that, in terms of categorization, I think about, okay, what is the teaching here? What is the lesson here? And how do I, in spite of that teaching, not let it inhibit me from being my total self? Because sometimes to me, even, the struggle or the illness or the difficulty or the tragedy, we have a choice with it. Either that can inhibit us and hold us hostage, or we can transform it and then transform it into medicine and a teaching. And I think that that's the choice. Many people that gone through tragedy, gone through difficulty, have been able to transform that, and it becomes a medicine, it becomes a teaching, it becomes a healing for them too. And it's amazing how the body can transform. Yeah. How the body can transform, but it's only if the spirit has the ánimo, the faith, the energy. And that's why we practice. That's why the songs, that's why the danza, that's why, that's all energy that's getting manifested to say, let's wake up. Our healing medicine, let's wake up. Our faith, let's wake up. The ancestors' prayers. And if we say a prayer that your grandma said, your great-grandma said, well, when you say it, they wake up and they say it too. If you sing a song, if you, even make some comida. I remember my mom making tortillas in the morning. I smell it, even though the night before, man, there was drive-by shootings and all kinds of trauma and stress. Man, I'd smell those tortillas in the morning. It's like aromatherapy, right? And what I didn't understand is those tortillas, that recipe is generations old. So when she made that, when she made those tortillas, it was like she was waking up the grandmas of generations, and all of them got up and all of them sent energy through that tortilla with butter that I ate that made me feel much, much better, So even in our foods, I think, there's that medicine that can help us that way.
Yes, thank you. And I think the other part that comes to my mind as well is that there's many ways, right? So we have, because I agree, Western medicine brings in some stuff, but then we have the Chinese medicine, then we have our own indigenous, and maybe that in and of itself is a lesson, right? That we're all interconnected and all related.
Yeah.
And so it's not about eliminating one, but maybe embracing everyone, right? And I think that's one of the struggles why we have all this racism and those issues, right? Because the walls that we put between each other then don't allow us to connect and see the touch points, but just continue on in that division, right? Well, how do you see that?
Well, I think, we do need each other. And I think that, it's really that each of us carries medicine, and each of us carries, a little bit of the teachings that we all need. For my learning, it's in those interconnected relationships, throughout my journey, and you mentioned talking about where we're at, in terms of our stage of life. I thought when I was younger, man, I just want to be an elder, man. Because when you get an elder, it's going to be, now I'll know all the teachings. Now I'll know all the movidas. I'll know all the stuff. It's going to be easy. I'm just going to cruise. People are going to respect me. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. Because at this age, there's still teachings and there's still medicine. And the thing is, it's my choice whether I utilize all the experience of those many, many years. Because as we've mentioned before, they're elders and olders. And the elders have just lived a long life, but have not taken the teachings and transformed them into something that is beautiful to all people, that helps all people. But elders really have taken that. And, I've been in ceremonies with medicine people that say, this medicine's for everybody. I've been in Sweat Lodge where they say, hey, yeah, come on in. You're welcome in. This medicine's for everybody. Just sit where you need to sit and take in the medicine that's good for you. And I believe that as well. At the same time, people from different cultures have to respect, the teachings and the ways and how the elders are guiding it. But the medicine of the world, of the very different nations, all of that is necessary for our world to heal and for us to heal, and we've experienced, me and Maestro, we have various, medicine people we go to. We have a Chinese doctor that assesses us and helps us and gives us herbs. And we have, other healers that we go to as well. Because even though we're considered elders, we still are learning. We still are healing from, generations of trauma, but also generations of blessings too.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like the older I get, the less I know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for real. Yeah.
But going back to the relationships, we had one of our comadres, Reina, come on, and she's a wonderful maestra. And she talked about that relationship, right? Reminding us that we're interrelated with all things, and so the plants, we know the plants are some of our oldest teachers. The animal kingdom, right? The animals that have, it's amazing. They don't have bad intention. They just only have good intention. Our mountains, the rocks, the rivers, the ocean. And she was just sharing, how they nurture us, how they heal us, how they teach us, right? And as we're going through on this journey of healing, that relationship to all things. And I was kind of curious, what are some of your thoughts about being related to all things?
Well, when I was a kid, I thought my grandma was crazy because she would get up in the morning and go talk to the plants. She would, buenos días, mira qué rosita, qué bonita. What a beautiful rose you are. Mira la hierba buena. Que está creciendo. You're growing. Oh, qué bonita, mira. And I thought, grandma's crazy. She's talking to the plants, But then she'd go further. She's, si me das el permiso, she's asking the plants for permission to take a little piece. I said, Grandma, just take it. What are they going to do? They're not going to do nothing. Or you ask for, mira, te voy a dar poquito agua. I'm going to give you a little bit of water and I'm going to take a little bit of you. And so it was, my grandma was already teaching me, about this sense of reciprocity and the olin. You give and you take, but you ask for permission. What she was showing me is her respect for these plants that are alive and that can help us, heal us, nurture us that way, if you respect them, right? And we learned that during the pandemic, that people that were closer to the earth, that would go outside and sit on the earth, that would eat organic foods, inflammation would go down, their body would be stronger, their immune system was stronger. And our elders, they knew that. It's us in our wanting to do things quickly and buy fast food and, get all this other stuff that didn't realize those things are contaminating us. So I learned early on, even though I didn't recognize that those things were teachings for me, I learned from, my grandmas and from the people in the community that all living things, even los perros, the dog we had was like a family member. Yeah. And even I was talking to one of our colleagues, Mimoa, who on her farm, she has pigs, right? And and her mom told her, because, oh, look at the cute little pig. I'm going to name it. And mom says, if you're going to eat it, don't name it. Because once you name it, it becomes part of the family,
Yes,
so they become, so even the animals, and And I remember as a kid, my dad would go outside and he'd sing to the birds. And they'd sing back to him, And I thought, what's my dad doing? But I do that now. And it's so beautiful to be able to sing to the birds. And of course they jack me up because they can sing much better than I can, do all these kind of things that I can't repeat. They humble me. But it's so beautiful to be in relationship, and that helps heal me, The other day as we went outside, as I went outside, I saw Maestra, and she was hugging the avocado tree.
Yeah.
She says, I've had a relationship with this avocado tree for 30 years, and it's fed me for 30 years.
Wow.
And so she went to hug it, and I noticed she always does that, and but we don't recognize the sacredness of that, of being in sacred relationship with the plants, with the animals, and when you need them, they will feed you, they will nurture you, they can heal you.
Yeah. I was in Hawaii a couple of weeks ago to celebrate an anniversary. And I was listening to my aunt share with her grandson, some tradition. And she was speaking about this. She was speaking about the shark, the mako. And she said, these are our people. And she said, so you always honor them, because even though people want to make you afraid of them, she said, there's nothing to be afraid of. And if you're ever in the ocean and you find yourself, in some kind of danger or trouble or whatever, she goes, call on the mako, because the mako will come and will extend its fin and take you to safety. And so, I was just, as I was listening, I was just, just marveling at how we understand those things. It's like, those are the teachings that we don't hear in school. Those are the kind of the messages that has tried to be stamped out, right? Taken away from us, all of that information. And it's funny because we know that animals bring healing. That's why you look in mental health programs and substance abuse programs in the prisons. They have these programs, where prisoners will raise a dog. Or work with the horses. We have companion animals. We have all these things, but yet the acknowledgement and connection, right? That it's cultural knowledge that gets passed through, and the many blessings that come out when we're all united in that relationship, right? Interrelated to everything in this dimension and where we're at today.
Right.
Yeah. So that's an amazing teaching. And with that, I think we need those things, right? Because I was remembering Esmeralda's podcast, where sometimes as we're traveling through life, these unexpected things happen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. In her case, she was expressing a death of a partner. And how sometimes we have these ideas that we're going to, like in my mother's case, she thought my father was going to be here and they would grow old together and enjoy the family together. And my father was taken away. And actually tomorrow, November 17th, is his transition day. And how, he was taken away, which was unexpected for her because her idea was we would grow old together. So when these unexpected things happen, where do we go? How do we sustain ourselves? And we're just sharing about death, but there's so many unexpected things.
Yeah.
What are some thoughts around that?
That teaching really has come up recently for us because, I think the thought is, you live a good life, you do good things for people, you work, help others out, and everything's going to be good. Ain't gonna be no issues, and then there comes a challenge, there comes a struggle, there comes a tragedy, and we come back to that teaching of the duality of life, of Tata Sol is the partner to Nana Luna, And so you have the light and the dark, and we have lessons that come both ways. We have lessons that come in the light, with beauty, with laughter, with joy, with playing, and then we have those things that happen in the dark. And the dark doesn't mean they're bad. It just means that they come with a different energy. And so all of us will face, different struggles, different tragedies in our lives, and even the ones that are expected. My mom lived till, she was 94. But losing her was very hard, and I still miss my mom. It's been 10 years and I still miss her. I'm sure you still miss your dad.
Yes.
But that's, especially the unexpected ones, the unexpected tragedies or life challenges. That's where, you're really challenged to see if you're in shape. And I kind of compare it to, you're in danger and you have to run, from something in danger. Well, if you're in shape, if you've been exercising, if you've been stretching, if you have the wind, then you can outlast that and run from that and get away. If you haven't done nothing, you're going to pull a muscle, something's going to happen, you're going to fall, you're not,
That's good. Yeah.
And that's the same thing with, with our, spiritual path, our cultural path. If we're in shape, if we have these spiritual ways, these traditional ways, these healing ways as an ongoing thing, and we do it interconnected with other people, right? Then when difficulty comes, when tragedy comes, then you're in shape. And it doesn't mean it's not going to be painful, doesn't mean it's not going to be fearful, doesn't mean it's not going to be, hurtful, but you're in shape to be able to get you through that. And you can call on other people that you're in ceremony with, or you're in prayer with, or you're in exercise, or whatever that is, whatever helps you, in song with, in danza with, to help you along. Because one of the things that I've learned is all of us come to a point where we need someone else. We need each other, right? Yes. And to be able to, call on other people and humble ourselves and say, you know what, I need help. And especially for those of us that are often seen as the teacher or the leader or the healer or the guide, we do a lot of that. We're used to guiding, we're used to leading, we're used to helping others. Well, the other role is just as important, and the role of receiving the healing and receiving the teachings and receiving the medicine. That's important. And in essence, that also prepares you for the next stage, because then you're better prepared to help others that confronted stuff that you are experiencing right now.
And you said something very key, right? Because we learn different lessons, right, in the light and the dark. And I remember, my father really sharing about that the most difficult lessons are the lessons in the dark. And like you said, it's not something negative, but when we, are in those places, let's say, of severe pain or a great loss, maybe at death's door. What are those lessons that only in those conditions do we get those lessons? And I don't know if you have any examples or can think of anything related to that.
Well, I think, we're going through this right now. We were not expecting Maestro to, have to have this procedure. It was something unexpected. And again, when that happens, even though you may be faithful, I'm saying, Creator, what's going on here? Yeah. All of us, when tragedy, it's like, come on, we try and be the best we can, so all these questions come because the assumptions are there. If you do good, if you act right, if you give, if you share, if you're a good person, it's a naive thing to say, okay, we're going to stay in the light. Nothing's going to happen that's going to challenge you. Well, the teaching is that duality. But even within that, what I've learned is that the people that really are able to help other people have been through stuff. They've been through stuff and have gotten through it. And because sometimes you get to that, that really painful, difficult, scary part where, you've lost hope and your faith is, barely holding on. And it's a really scary place, to be there, whether you be addicted to something or whether you be inflicted with something, you're able to, by the grace of Creator and ancestors and prayers and healing, you're able to get through that. So now you get through that, and now you see other people that are there. You as a teacher, as a healer, you as a community servant are not afraid to go back there because you know the path out. And you are not afraid to be with people that are in the darkness, that are in the fear, that are in the tragedy, because you know how to get them out. And people will recognize you. They'll say, "Oh, you've been there? Yeah. Well, what did you do? Come on, walk with me." And it really fortifies your medicine path, your healing path, because you've been through that. And sometimes, whether you want to or not, Creator says, "You know what? I need you to go through this, because we have much more work for you to do and many more people for you to." And the only way you're going to be able to cultivate that medicine is you got to go there. And it's like, we had this tree, that was a sick tree that we had, and we had to excavate it. We had to, to take it out. And so, I'm just wanting to chop the top and let it go. And they said, no, it's going to infect the other plants. And so we had to dig way like 4 feet down. Man, is that enough? Is that no? You got to take it all out. Oh man, I'm sudando, and no, we got to take it all. We got to go all the way. We got to get, and that's the teaching that, we have to be willing to go to the depth of what's going to eliminate the pain, what's going to address the trauma. And many times, in order to address especially generational trauma that have now sometimes lies in our body, it's very painful. And the recovery is very, very painful, right? But in order to really do generational healing, that's what we have to do. And, with Maestra, I'll just share this. I don't share too much, but she has some clogged arteries. And what we've been talking about is, what has clogged those? And sometimes, you carry the cloggedness of your mama, of your daddy, of your grandma, of your grandpa, of generations that never got a chance to heal, and it gets in your body, right? And then you got to clean them out.
Yeah.
You got to, clean them out so that the heart and your mind and your spirit is pure, so you could go on for many more years in order to offer that medicine. But you got to go through it, and prayer and ceremony and traditions and other people lending their support is really that medicine path.
And I know sometimes, because we've had the questions like, oh, this has happened and I shouldn't doubt and I should just trust and I, shouldn't question and I should just accept, and like it's a bad thing to really ask those questions sometimes.
Yeah.
Like a why me, or how did this happen? Or can you share a little bit, as well? Because there's a lot that think, oh gosh, I should just accept and I should just deny all my feelings and emotions around a certain thing.
This dialogue that goes on within us, is all part of the path. And it's part of what, you're hearing me and you, Maestra, talk and, kind of reflections of Maestra Susie. And many people see us as the elders. We're the knowledgeable ones. We have the medicine. We go through it too. We're just as human as anybody else. We ask the very same questions. And the questions are really a process of unraveling. Let us unravel this, right? But it's important, when you got the questions, to ask them, when you're feeling upset, to share it, when you need to cry it. All that is the unraveling of all those things, because we've been told, don't cry, don't feel, don't share, don't complain. No, and that's what contributed to the trauma, because we've never been able to really deal with the struggles. We've, as a young kid, you're told, cállese, don't. And so you're told not to really share what you're really feeling, share what you're really going through. And what that does is it clogs everything up. So the questions, the crying, even the anger, even the thinking, God, what's going on? Why is this happening? Is your process of healing too. It's the unraveling, and we need to go through this. And sometimes, not sometimes, you need other people to help you in your unraveling, in your questioning, because as we're talking, as we're in this questioning, we get embraced by the darkness, and we need other people to say, no, let me share with you the light part of this. Let me share with you the other part of this, right? We need each other to help us through, this process of unraveling and healing and moving through the trauma so that we could move to the place where the healing really has taken place.
Beautiful. I like that, how you say it, the unraveling
Yeah.
in that journey towards healing. And so we're on this journey. We're on this journey of healing and all these adventures up and down and all around in the light and the dark, right? Sometimes the question comes up is like, is it worth it? Right? And it reminds me, we did a podcast with one of our comadres, Pamela, and she was sharing about her journey, right? And the difficulty and also the struggle because she's coming towards the age of elderhood as well. And so she shared on her podcast that because she was faithful, right? Now in this time in her life, she's experiencing something she never even thought she would experience. So now she has this business and she says, I wasn't even a businesswoman, but my heart was to give a gift. And the gift was Jamaica juice that she loved making. And she got the recipe from her grandmother. And now she's at a place where that is a business, a thriving business where it's taking care of her because she didn't get off the path.
Right.
And so, thinking about that is that journey worth it or should we stay on it or what are thoughts around that?
Well, what I've learned is your journey is your journey. It's not, let me choose another journey. This is your path. and the question is, what do you do with that journey? Right? What do you do with that? And those that have chosen and have been able to embrace the journey and deal with the challenges in a good way, in a blessed way, the end result is the medicine, are the teachings, and are the lugar, And all people that I know that are really helpers, healers, community servants, they've been through their tragedies, they've been through their struggles, and have been able to transform and have been helped to transform too. There's many of us that because other people have done for us, have helped to heal us, helped to love us, helped to embrace us in spite of, how we've been or what we've done. In spite of that, they've loved us and cared for us and seen the sacredness of it's helped us to transform the tragedy and the struggle into something that now we give to others and share with others and help others with, So I think it's really just a choice of what you do with it. It's not whether it's going to happen or not. You will face, blessings and you will face, darkness and struggles. It's what you do with that. And, we're talking about the darkness, but let's talk about the light too, because there's so many blessings that come just waking up in the morning, I woke up this morning and, I do a gratitude thing where I thank my eyes, for being able to see. I thank, my mouth for being able to talk and for being able to taste, and my nose for being able to breathe, and my, just the different parts of my body. And those things we take for granted unless there's something happens to them and you can't use them, right? So it's not just about acknowledging the darkness. It's about acknowledging the light and being grateful. And it comes back to my abuelita again. When she would pray at 4:30 in the morning, after she did, her acknowledgement of all her ancestors and everything, she'd give gratitude. And I remember saying, man, what are you giving credit? We don't got nothing. All we got is frijoles. We live in this crowded house. No tenemos nada. And my grandma said, gracias a Dios. I was like, what? It was a big teaching. My grandma knew that sense of you ought to be grateful. And if you start every day with gratitude and you end every day with gratitude, it surrounds you, with a certain energy and a certain spirit that then begins to grow more. And I think it's part of that journey that we're on, and then people are put in your life, like you're put in our life, and what a blessing to have you, Maestra Deborah, in our life, and I know of, so many people that you've helped, so many people that you've blessed, And you've blessed us. You continue to bless us. And that's why, we hang out together and listen to music and go eat hot fudge sundaes and kick back. And and then when the difficult times come, we support one another.
Yes.
And that's what we call familia. Familia is those people that show up in spite of. And we have to look for those people in our lives and cultivate them. We got to feed them and nurture them too, right? So that when it's time, they give back and, all of that. And then you choose who is your family, because there's some people that are part of your family that don't help your path. They block your path. And so we also have to know how to be, have that discernment to say, well, we're not going to, feed those relationships as much. We can still pray for people. We can still honor them and respect them. But, it's not sometimes not healthy to have them an active part of our life too. And that's the choices that we look to.
Yes, and that's one of those lessons we forget sometimes, right? That we think we have to embrace everyone, but we don't. And we really can walk where we're loved. Mm-hmm. So, Maestro, did you ever think you would be here? Like where you're at right now at this time of your life? Did you have any sense of that when you were a child, or is it just a journey that's been unraveling in front of you?
I didn't. And when I saw my parents when they were 50, I said, man, they're old. And as I'm on that seventh ladder, the seventh rung, and didn't think I would be here. I never thought about it. I never really thought about, I want to be a viejito, I want to be an elder, I never thought about that. And I never thought about, I've been so blessed to be involved in doing so many things and accomplishing so many things, and, writing children's books and writing books and, being on YouTube. All kinds of things. That was not part of a plan. It's not like, let me plan to do that. It just manifested, the opportunities came, and I was afraid, didn't know what to do, but I said, well, let's try it. And we try it, and it happens. And then, okay, now let's try something else. And, and I think that's a teaching in itself. Western society says you have to have a strategic plan and you got to have this whole thing mapped out. No, the life that is unfolded in front of me was never really planned by me. What I realized, it was planned by my mama, by my daddy, by my ancestors, and by the spirits around me. And what I had to be willing to do is to have faith and build the values, live the values, because that's the thing. You live the values, then they put blessings and opportunities in front of you. They'll put the struggles too, but they know that when they put the struggles in front of you, you have whatever it takes to get through those struggles too, right? But all of this has come, by way of teachings, by way of other people teaching me and having beautiful maestros and maestras such as you, such as Maestra Susie, such as Don Marcelino, such as, other elders that have come along the way, and my own family, my own children, our grandchildren are all teachers, and so many other people that are part of the Círculo, part of the Compadres Network, part of the Extended Kinship. All of them have been teachers and blessings for me. And I feel I got a lot more to do, a lot more to learn, a lot more to give, and a lot more to share. And estoy aquí para servir la gente. I'm here to serve in whatever way I can, and look forward to that.
Yes, we're not letting you out of the car yet. No. So as we start to wrap this up, I know it's just the time always goes so fast, But I'm wondering, Maestro, what would some consejos be? What would some advice be for listeners out there, that have been tuned in right here? What would be advice that you would share for the generation that's coming up, but also for the elders that are out there? Give us some words of consejo.
Well, I think, the first thing is to recognize that you're sacred and a blessing. Whatever teachings and lessons and experiences you've had all the way that are counter to that, it's time to let those go and recognize that, everything that has happened in your life is part of those teachings. But the first teaching is that you're a blessing and that you're sacred. And that all of us with our journey in life, carry a sacred purpose. We all have something to contribute in a good way. And it's really up to us whether we water those things or don't. The challenges will come, and there'll be detours that'll want to take you off of that. There'll be people that will want to challenge you and make you believe that you don't know enough, you don't have enough, that you're not worthy enough. But all of those are distractions, and so we must invest in feeding, and then the third thing is surround yourself with people that can reinforce the sense of your blessing, of your sacredness, and that can guide you. We all need teachers, we all need elders, we all need children, we all need those people that we teach and guide too, And so part of that journey is then, having teachers, but also developing traditions and costumbres and healing ways and gratitude ways that become kind of the, if you will, the pathway. And finally, we all must be on this healing journey. All of us have healing to do, and all of us have a part to play in other people's healing too. So there's duality of our own healing, but we must also be a part of, healing other people. And sometimes all that means is show up, be present, listen. It's not something we have to do. It's just we have to be, And for the elders, those people that are, in our traditional way, there's these stages of life. And when you get to 52, you're now in that fourth quadrant. But what a lot of people think, well, I'm 52, I'm an elder now. Well, you're a baby elder, because the first stage of 52, the first 13 years of 52 to 65 is really the stage of shedding, of releasing, of reflection, of contemplation. The eagle, for instance, when they get to that stage, they shed their talons, they shed their beaks, they shed their feathers, they shed everything that brings them attention, because they know in the journey they've picked up a lot of, if you will, a lot of baggage. So 52 to 65, yes, you're technically in that, phase of elderhood, but that first phase really is, you need to reflect on your life. You need to, you need to do your healing. You need to ask for forgiveness. You need to be more humble. You need to listen more. All of those things that are really important in terms of then when you get 65, that next phase then is now share the teachings, and now, be out there and give, and now be one of gratitude. And now, and as you get older to the, the next stage of life after that, it's about then receiving all the blessings, Once you get, con, the 80, 83, pues, give me the blessings, serve me, bring me my donuts, bring me my coffee, help me out, you drive, I'm not driving no more, it's really about that aspect.
Yeah.
And so I would say, if you have elders in your life, reach out to them, call them, spend time with them. Respect them in spite of their shortcomings. Help them heal, but more than anything else, love them up, because we've lost a lot of elders.
Yes. Yes.
And time is of the essence. Don't wait. And, with that, I want to, as we conclude today, I want to just acknowledge you, Maestro, as I've done before, and thank you for who you are in our lives, in me and Maestro's lives, but in the lives of so many other people. And acknowledge you as an elder, acknowledge you as one of those that guide and help so many people. Thank you for, being willing, you and Maestra, for being willing to guide this podcast and to guide these teachings and bringing other people on and lifting up the medicine of so many people. And especially for the mujeres and, the femme-identified, it's really, really important, because the true essence is life comes from the feminine. And creation comes from the feminine, and healing comes from the feminine. We have to be willing to feel and to heal and to feel our hearts. And you and all the other women in our lives are really the teachers and the leaders and the medicine people of those teachings. I want to thank you, and all the women that are listening. Thank you for everything you do for our families, for our communities, and for humanity.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your words. And it's never a disappointment. These podcasts, it brings so much healing. Like, I'm so blessed. And I know if Maestra was here, she would echo that we're so blessed to be able to sit and have these conversations that I know will, vibrate throughout the world and take the healing and take the message and take those little drops of healing all over so that we can truly become better human beings. And so you might be listening and you might have identified yourself. Maybe you're in that place of pain and understanding, maybe for the first time, that inner relationship with everything, with this whole universe that you have around you. Or maybe you are in a place where unexpected things have happened and you just don't know how to deal with it. One thing that we can assure you is that if you continue in this healing journey, your answers, your support, that which you need will come and present itself before you. It's never a perfect journey. It's a journey of process. But we're here to let you know that we're happy to join you along this process through the podcast. But more than that, you have everything that you need to be successful in the journey if you allow the Spirit, if you connect to that which gives you life and be faithful to those teachings. So thank you very much. And I'm so grateful to have spent this time with you, Maestro. Thank you for being here. And again, my comadre that's out there, I know she's here in spirit and will always be. And we love you, comadre. And with that, we're going to conclude this and just say, if you want to get in touch, you can find us at the National Compadres Network on that webpage. Look for women's services there, and you'll have the information of the podcast and many more things. Also online, if you just do Healing Generations, look for the podcast there. You can find it there. And also share it. Share it with your friends. Like us, and we'll meet up again in next month's podcast. And with that, I'll say bendiciones.
For more information about Healing Generations and the Healing Generations Institute, visit nationalcompadresnetwork.org and be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with our new releases.